Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, chapter number 15, titled The Pandavas Retire Timely, text number 37. Yudhishthira stat parisarpanam buddha purecha rashrecha grihe tatatmani vibhavya lobhan vrita jihma jihim sanadi adharma chakaram gamanaya parayadat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Maharaja Yudhishthira was intelligent enough to understand the influence of the age of Kali, characterized by increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating and violence throughout the capital, state, home and among individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to leave home and he dressed accordingly. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The present age is influenced by the specific qualities of Kali. Since the days of the battle of Kurukshetra, about 5,000 years ago, the influence of the age of Kali began manifesting. And from authentic scriptures, it is learned that the age of Kali is still to run on for 4,27,000 years. The symptoms of the Kali Yuga, as mentioned above, namely avarice, falsehood, diplomacy, cheating, nepotism, violence and all such things are already in vogue. And no one can imagine what is going to happen gradually with further increase of the influence of Kali till the day of annihilation. We have already come to know that the influence of the age of Kali is meant for godless, so-called civilized man. Those who are under the protection of the Lord have nothing to fear from this horrible age. Maharaja Yudhishthira was a great devotee of the Lord, and there was no necessity of his being afraid of the age of Kali, but he preferred to retire from active household life and prepare himself to go back home, back to Godhead. The Pandavas are eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore they are more interested in the company of the Lord than anything else. Besides that, being an ideal king, Maharaja Yudhishthira wanted to retire just to set an example for others. As soon as there is some young fellow to look after the household affairs, one should at once retire from family life to uplift oneself to the spiritual realization. One should not rot in the dark well of household life till one is dragged out by the will of Yamaraj. Modern politicians should take lessons from Maharaja Yudhishthira about voluntary retirement from active life and should make room for the younger generation. Also, retired old gentlemen should take lessons from him and leave home for spiritual realization before forcefully dragged away to meet death. This is the Bhaktivedanta purport. So here, Srila Prabhupada is talking about the specific context in which Maharaja Yudhishthira, having noticed the influence of Kali coming in his capital, state, family and among the individuals, he has decided to retire timely. The title of this chapter is not Arjuna's grief because of Lord Krishna's departure. The title of this chapter is The Pandavas Retire Timely. There are two important words used here, retire and timely. So the Pandavas have retired timely. Here we see in this particular new section of this chapter, we see that Yudhishthira Maharaj has seen the influence of Kali coming in his capital, state, family and individuals and among the individuals. And thus he decided that it is time for him to actually move out of his kingly responsibilities and go towards retirement and then finally go back to home, back to Godhead. Actually, why Krishna had to participate in the battle of Kurukshetra? Why Krishna had to participate in battle of Kurukshetra? Krishna is Atma Rama. He has nothing to do with this world, right? He has nothing to do with this world. Whatever is happening in this world, It's not that something, Krishna has to, politically endeavor personally. Krishna has politically endeavored personally for enthroning Maharaja Yudhishthira. Why he had to do that? Krishna is said to be a person who is not having any kind of partiality. There is nobody who is his friend, there is nobody who is his enemy. Right? If that is the case, why Krishna had to personally intervene in the battle of Kurukshetra, practically dethrone personally Duryodhana through his advice to the Pandavas, and again enthrone Maharaja Yudhishthira? Why he had to do that? Krishna is Atma Rama and he has nothing to do. Parasha Shakti Vividaya Shuvite Swabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriya. So Krishna has nothing to do. All his energies are there. Things will do automatically. If things will happen automatically just by a mere desire of Krishna, why Krishna has to personally be involved in the battle of Kurukshetra? Why is that? Anybody? Yes? Yes. Krishna himself says his purpose in the Bhagavad Gita. What is the purpose? There are two famous verses that Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Tadatmanam Sujamyahum Dharma Samstapanardaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. Next, Paritranaya Sadhuna Vinashaya Duskrutanam Dharma Samstapanardaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. So to deliver the Paritranayam Sadhunam, to deliver the devotees and to punish the miscreants, he comes. Actually, he need not do that also. He can just delegate this particular work to any of his energies. Of what? To punish the miscreants. Just to punish the miscreants, he need not again come to this world. But here we see Krishna has come to actually enthrone Maharaja Yudhishthira. Because Maharaja Yudhishthira is a very, very, very pious king. In the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Yudhishthira Maharaj inquires from Narad Rishi various aspects of devotion and whether is it that Lord is actually partial or not, is it that Lord is partial to his friends or is inimical to his enemies or anything like that. So in that context, Narad Rishi completely describes how Prahlad Narsimha, to protect the Prahlad Maharaj, Lord Narsimha comes and personally saves him. So in that context, after having heard the entire pastimes of how Prahlad Maharaj was saved, Yudhishthira Maharaj, out of his natural humility, he says that, see how great is Prahlad Maharaj, such a wonderful devotee. To protect him, the Lord personally had to take the incarnation of Narsimha and protect him. And see, I am such a wretched person, I am a very lowly person, I don't have such kind of a fortune. Like that, he would be actually thinking about himself, Yudhishthira Maharaj. At that time, Narad Rishi says, "Oh Yudhishthira Maharaj, what are you saying? You Pandavas are so fortunate that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, comes as if as an ordinary person and does all kind of ordinary activities in a friendly manner, as if he is your servant and serving you in many manners." When this conversation was happening, what was happening in the Indraprastha? Maharaj Yudhishthira was conducting the Rajasuya Yagna. And to conduct the Rajasuya Yagna, he has engaged so many of his relatives in various matters. And what is the service which Krishna has taken? Krishna has taken the service of washing the feet of those people who are coming to Rajasuya Yagna as guests. Such a lowly service Krishna had taken for the sake of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So does Krishna had to do anything like this for his devotees? He has nothing to do. He is Atma Rama. But still, the pure devotees, pure devotion is Sri Krishna Akarshani. Krishna, who is all attractive, he is attracted by the pure devotion of the pure devotees, and thus he does any kind of services for the pure devotees. So, such a kind of great devotee is Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, painstakingly, with lot of effort, finally in the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna ensures that the enemies of Pandavas, that is Kauravas, were completely killed, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj was enthroned. Now we see the same Yudhishthira Maharaj, after some many number of years of doing service as a ruler of the world, actually he now decided to retire instead of protecting the citizens from the age of Kali. This is the exact purpose which Krishna has enthroned Yudhishthira Maharaj, so that he will rule over the citizens properly. So why is it that the Yudhishthira Maharaj now has retired from the responsible position of a king? This is another important question we have to think through. Yudhishthira Maharaj is supposed to protect his citizens from the influence of Kali, but instead of doing that, looks like he has escaped from his responsibility, apparently. Looks like he has escaped from his duties. Is it true? Is it true? Then why is that Yudhishthira Maharaj has just retired now itself? He is supposed to just protect the citizens from the influence of Kali. That is a responsibility. Now what is who is the king? He is a Naradeva. King is a Naradeva. Naradeva means he is a representative of God. Right? For the citizens, he is the representative of God. Like the way we say, for the disciples, spiritual master is the representative of God. For the citizens, king is the representative of God. Now if he is the representative of God, why did Yudhishthira Maharaj, Dharmaraj, he is known as Dharmaraj, he knows perfectly well what is Dharma to be, what is Dharma at that point in time. At the time, place, circumstance, what is the Dharma? And Dharmaraj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, has decided, instead of protecting the citizens at that time, he has decided to retire from his rulership. So how do we understand? So painstakingly, crores of people were killed in the battle of Kurukshetra, and now we see that Maharaj Yudhishthira has decided to leave the kingdom. Now before that, let us understand how Maharaj Yudhishthira has ruled his kingdom before retiring. Maharaj Yudhishthira has ruled the kingdom so nicely. It is said in the first canto, in the 10th chapter, we have heard some probably few months ago. There is a beautiful verse which is called as like this. I will read. Kamam vavarsha parjanya sarva kama dugamahi shishuchu sma vrajan gavaha payasoda svatir muda. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cows used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. During Maharaj Yudhishthira times, there is no want, it seems. People had no problems at all. They have everything out of abundance. There is abundance of wealth, there is abundance of prosperity of all the necessities of life like food, grains, clothing, everything was in abundance. Not only that, during the time of Yudhishthira Maharaj, there was no excessive heat, there was no excessive rain, there was no excessive cold. The people were not tormented with this kind of untimely changes in the weather. Everything was going on as per the exact specifications of time. So, why did Maharaj Yudhishthira retire? So before that, we will try to understand some important points which Srila Prabhupada says in this purport. I'll just read some aspects of this purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, chapter number 10, text number 4. The basic principle of economic development is centered on land and cows. The necessities of human society are food grains, fruits, milk, minerals, clothing, wood, etc. One requires all these items to fulfill the material needs of the body. Certainly, one does not require flesh and fish or iron tools and machinery. During the regime of Maharaja Yudhishthira, all over the world there were regulated rainfalls. Like that Prabhupada says. So then Prabhupada goes on describing how in the current modern day there is huge gap getting created between haves and have-nots. Because the capitalist, what does he do? He will engage so many poor workmen in ghastly factories, making them work for long hours. And in even during the COVID time, even though we were all like in the homes, but all the large industries, they are running. Huge steel plants, they were still running. So the capitalists, at any cost, they want to engage the workmen doing all kind of difficult works. To produce what? Iron and tools. Simple things like that. So, but those are not things which are not going to satisfy. And what does the capitalist do? He will sit at home nicely. He will order all the poor workmen to work. So it's also happening today, in the Ukraine war. So the king is sitting in his chambers. He is ordering the poor soldiers to go and fight in Ukraine. So it's happening, right? So there is a huge gap getting created in this. So Prabhupada says, therefore in the contrast with a modern advanced civilized form of government, an autocracy like Maharaja Yudhishthira's is by far superior to a so-called democracy in which animals are killed and a man less than an animal is allowed to cast votes for another less than animal man. So next Prabhupada gives a very interesting perspective which is relevant to this context. We are all creatures of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord Himself is a seed-giving Father and material nature is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. Thus, Mother Material Nature has enough foodstuff both for animals and for men by the grace of Father Almighty, Sri Krishna. The human being is the elder brother of all other living beings. So this is a nice construct which Prabhupada is bringing up. What is the relationship between human beings with lesser intelligent human beings with that of animals, lesser intelligent living beings, animals, and human beings with Mother Nature, and human beings with Supreme Lord. We'll read this context again. We are all creatures of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord Himself is a seed-giving Father, and material nature is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. Thus, Mother Material Nature has enough foodstuff both for animals and for men. By the grace of the Father Almighty, Sri Krishna, the human being is the elder brother of all other living beings. He is endowed with intelligence more powerful. So now what is the thing? A human being is endowed with intelligence more powerful than animals. For realizing, for what purpose intelligence is given to human beings? There is no purpose, there is a design of the designer. What is the design of the designer? For realizing the course of nature and the indications of the Almighty Father. Human civilization should depend on the production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into a chaos of artificial greed and power only for the purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of dogs and hogs. So Prabhupada says here that human beings are endowed with a kind of a higher intelligence. Here also we see the word Buddha. Yudhishthira's tat parisarpanam Buddha. The word Buddha means two meanings Prabhupada gives. one in word-to-word meaning and another meaning in the translation. In the word-to-word meaning, Prabhupada says, Buddha is thoroughly experienced. And in the translation, Prabhupada says, intelligent enough. So one is intelligent enough because he is thoroughly experienced. Maharaja Yudhishthira is thoroughly experienced and is also intelligent enough to see the course of what is happening to this world. Maharaja Yudhishthira, how did he rule the world? He ruled perfectly well. What do you mean by perfectly well? Who come to this world? What kind of jivas come to this world? Those who want to be independent of Krishna, those who want to engage in sense gratification. What are other things? Why somebody comes to this material world? To enjoy independent of Krishna. So to enjoy independent of Krishna and be rebellious, we come to this world, right? So what is this world called as? Durga, right? Fort, a big fort, right? A fort will have a king also, right? A fort will have king also. Maya Devi is the prison officer who has to punish the jivas. Now a fort also has a king. So what is the responsibility of a king? The king has to see that the citizens who have come to this world, now the citizens means, praja means it includes both human beings and also lesser intelligent living entities. All kinds of intelligence are there in the humans. Somebody is super intelligent who is less intelligent to human beings, and also very less intelligent or lacking so much of intelligence in the animals. So praja includes all. So a king has to look into the welfare of all the praja. So what do you mean by welfare? Is it that, to increase the prison sentence? No. The king has to ensure that by mistake the jivas have come to this world. By mistake the jivas have come to this world. Now they have to be so trained that they have to go back to home, back to Godhead. Correct? The jivas have to go back home, back to Godhead. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was not just only giving the basic necessities or good necessities for his citizens. He is also giving proper education as to how go to home, back to Godhead. So if that is the case, why did Yudhishthira Maharaj retire? At the time when Kali's influence is increasing. So Prabhupada clarifies nicely in his lecture in this of this verse. There is a wonderful context we should also understand, and time and circumstances in which Prabhupada had written this particular purport, the time and circumstances in which Prabhupada has given this lecture in 1973. Prabhupada has written this book, the third volume of Srimad Bhagavatam, after the first Prime Minister of the country has passed away. While being a Prime Minister, he did not retire. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he died out of heart attack in 1964 in the month of June. Right? So he did not retire. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru did not retire. So that is the context in which Prabhupada is writing this purport. He is saying, Yudhishthira Maharaj has also shown as an example that one has to retire once there is a grown-up person is available and ready to take up the next responsibility. So now what is the time and context in which Prabhupada has given a lecture on this particular purport in 1973 on December 15? That was the time when President Nixon of United States of America was being impeached for Watergate scandal. There is a scandal called as Watergate scandal, wherein President Nixon has tried to use his power to enrich himself personally. So this scandal became such a big debated topic, and actually he was impeached. He was impeached to be removed as a president of the country. So under those circumstances, Prabhupada has given this wonderful lecture. So Prabhupada gives a wonderful clarification of why did Yudhishthira Maharaj actually retire, even though he was duty bound. To actually take care of the prajas at that time. In fact, the same question was asked by the sages of Naimisharanya about why did Parikshit Maharaj choose to retire. He would have countered the curse of the Brahmana, right? So similarly, in the same context, Prabhupada says that why did Yudhishthira Maharaj actually retire? There are two things were there at that time. Already another great pure devotee, Maharaj Parikshit, was already well trained by Yudhishthira Maharaj. How many years Pandavas have ruled the kingdom of the world? After the Kurukshetra war, they ruled for 36 years. So by that time, Parikshit Maharaj was sufficiently trained. So he is available to take up the next responsibility. And he himself is also another great pure devotee. Parikshit Maharaj is also a great pure devotee who can deal with the influence of Kali. So then what is the other thing which Prabhupada gives in explanation? Why did Yudhishthira Maharaj retire? Actually, Yudhishthira Maharaj did all he could do to hold the influence of Kali. Actually, the influence of Kali started at the time when Battle of Kurukshetra was completed. Because of the great ruling capacity of Maharaj Yudhishthira, he had withheld the influence of Kali. But he understood that the time has come for Kali to come to this world. Kali Yuga to come to this world. Just as Prabhupada gives the example, we may do our best, but when winter comes, it will be automatically cold. So, Maharaj Yudhishthira understood that this is the course of time. And hence he chose to retire. By choosing to retire also, he has set a great example. When all this avarice and all of those things are increasing, greed is increasing, what he has shown as a great Maharaj emperor of the world, he has chosen to retire. Instead of being in the political affairs, in the diplomatic affairs, he chose to retire, and thus again he became example for his own people at that time. Right? So that's how we see that Yudhishthira Maharaj has retired timely. Now we see another part here, very interesting aspect. Who is the Guru of the Pandavas? It is Lord Krishna. Right? Lord Krishna was guiding them constantly all throughout. Now Yudhishthira Maharaj has decided about a course of action when Lord Krishna is not personally present. So how do we understand this? Obviously, because Yudhishthira Maharaj was well trained. He was not only well trained, he is also a pure devotee himself. And thus you could understand what is the course of action to be taken. So how do we understand in our individual lives what action I should take? Right? In our individual lives also, so many different circumstances we will be faced with. And I really don't know whether I am acting rightfully or wrong. How do I know whether I am acting perfectly as per the way the scriptures wanted me to act? This is a question we all have, right? As practicing sadhakas, this is a question we all have. In a context when Madhvacharya was taking sannyas, his father falls at his feet. requesting him not to take sannyas. Then immediately Madhvacharya says that the intent of the Supreme Lord has to be seen by understanding various signs and circumstances he brings in front of us. Normally, a superior person like a father cannot pay obeisances to a son like me, only if the son has actually taken sannyas. Only if the son is in a higher order of life. Because his father was a grahastha, Madhvacharya is going to become a sannyasi in the future. So Madhvacharya concluded that it is a sign of the Supreme Lord we have to see. We have to study the signs of the Supreme Lord. Great. So then how do we as sadhakas? Madhvacharya is again a pure devotee. He is considered as Anumana Tirtha. He is considered as Anumana Tirtha because he can perfectly decide what is the specific instruction of the Shastra to be applied in that particular time, place, circumstance. But I am a neophyte. How do I understand that what is a sign of the Supreme Lord in my life? Actually, Prabhupada as an Acharya, he has demonstrated it, how we should do that in one's life. There was a time when Prabhupada was a Vanaprastha, living in Vrindavan between 1953 to 1959. So that time, Prabhupada, at later days, he started getting many times the dreams of his Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, coming to his dream and ordering him that now you should take sannyas. So Prabhupada was apparently disturbed with these dreams. He was thinking through what he should do. He was consulting. He was consulting various God brothers. He was consulting Sridhar Maharaj. First he consulted with Tirtha Maharaj. Tirtha Maharaj said, no. Then again further dreams started coming. Then he again consults Sridhar Maharaj. He consults Keshav Maharaj. He consults even his sister, or later on becomes a god sibling, Pishima Bhavatarani. So he does lot of consultation. Out of lot of consultation, and when so many assembled Vaishnavas have said that no, you have to do this particular thing, he was considering, because actually his family situation, circumstance was not that easy circumstance. He had 2 grown-up sons, he had 2 grown-up daughters already married. In that way his responsibilities are apparently done, not an issue. But his first son was not a responsible son. He became a communist. He always used to somehow or the other always come for the money, not working, always come for the money. He was worried what will happen to his wife. So Prabhupada says in another place in 1975 in a letter that even if a person has to take sannyas, the person has to be responsible. He has to see whether his wife has been taken care or not, whether there are proper situation has been created to take care of his wife. So Prabhupada has done that. What he has done, he has transferred one of his flat in an apartment in Calcutta in his wife's name, so that with that rent she can survive. But later on, unfortunately, after Prabhupada taking sannyas, after Prabhupada going to the West and coming back here, he comes to know that his son, the first son, actually sells away by creating some trick to his mother, sells away the property. Prabhupada again gets very angry about that thing, that how he can do this thing. So that's a different thing. So Prabhupada was contemplating, even though apparently his wife was not cooperating with him in his Krishna conscious practices. His sister says that you have tried your best to make your wife Krishna conscious, but she has chosen a different way. So now a time has come wherein your Guru is ordering you to take sannyas, now you should take. But still, after all of these considerations, Prabhupada made a very proper, considerate decision of taking sannyas, not whimsically. not whimsically. Right? So that's what we see, that another way Prabhupada is telling us that how in our life, if we are faced with one circumstance, how we should decide by consulting the various Vaishnavas. So Prabhupada also says that his will is determined by the governing body commissions, the GBC, the Society of the GBC Vaishnavas. So in various circumstances, you also see during Prabhupada time, in various letters, he says that anything specific, you have to consult the president and the GBCs. I can only give the principles. I cannot get into the details. So similarly, here also, in our circumstances, how to decide whether it is right or wrong. That right or wrong is based on the consultation, because obviously we cannot understand clearly independently from our become an independent person and then study whether I have done right or wrong. So this is another important thing which we can understand. Prabhupada also talks about in that particular lecture about universal suffrage. That is not suffering, universal suffrage. That is right to vote. Everybody is having a right to vote, right? So Prabhupada says that today is the world of of by the people, for the people, and of the people. So today, all the people can decide and vote somebody, and thus appoint any person. So now here again, Prabhupada again brings the point of usage of buddhi or intelligence. Because today's world, people are not really educated about what is the purpose of human life and all of those things and all. They end up choosing wrong leaders. To demonstrate this, Prabhupada talks about the famous words from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Svavid Varahosta Kare Samsuta Purusha Pashu. So we see that there are a lot of great leaders in the society. The leaders are being, glorified by so many other people. So these people are nicely glorifying these tall leaders of the society, and they are giving so much big rhetoric. So how do we understand that they are not intelligent? Because Bhagavatam says the people who are glorifying themselves are not intelligent. Bhagavatam gives 4 animals to exemplify the people who are glorifying such kind of people. Who are they? What are those animals? Swa, Vidvaraha, Ushtra and Karaih. That is a dog, a hog, camel and a donkey, ass. Okay. So how do we understand these 4 types of citizens in the state who are voting wrong leaders? Let's understand. So I may take some more time. So one is a dog. A dog is supposed to be very faithful, right? Correct? So how it is wrong to be a dog? The problem with the dog is that unnecessarily it barks. Right? Unnecessarily it barks. A person is just passing by and the dog is in the 2nd floor, just seeing. Okay? Unnecessarily it barks at a person who is just passing by. In that way, even though it is faithful, it is unnecessarily envious. So today's citizens, what happens to today's citizens? They are well educated, technologist, he has finished his education, now COVID times, if he doesn't get a job, what will happen to him? He will become a street dog, Prabhupada says. Means, he is searching on the street, sir, can I get a master, can I get a master, can I get a master? So Prabhupada says, unfortunately, that today's education has not made us to be independent, rather become servant of somebody. So that's what is happening. People don't know how to be independent, rather be dependent on others. So this is another thing of another segment of the citizens who are like doggish mentality. Another set of citizens who are like is a hog with varaha. What is this Vidvaraha? What does a hog do? A pig do? No discrimination. It keeps eating whatever it is required, whatever it wants. No discrimination. It eats even a stool also. So just because now we can eat anything, does a human go and eat a stool? No, there is a discrimination. So a pig has no discrimination. It can eat anything, it can do anything. No. So in that way, there is no discrimination. So this is another segment of citizens who don't have any proper discrimination. Another example given by the Bhagavatam is that of a camel. What does the camel do? In the desert, it eats cactus plants. Cactus, right? What does cactus have? Lot of thorns. And if it eats thorns, what will happen? Blood comes out of the tongue. And the thorn is mixed with the blood. And then the camel thinks, wow, it's so tasty. Okay. But actually what's happening to the camel? It's not realizing that it's its own blood that is coming in as a taste. So this is what exactly happening to the another segment of the citizens of the society. They are struggling hard for some kind of a sense gratificatory pleasures, but they are not realizing that actual pleasure is within. Instead of realizing that the pleasure is within, they are unnecessarily endeavoring so much to get pleasure from outside objects, and thus they get more and more implicated. This is another segment of the citizens who are like camel-like. Now, another big category of citizens are there who are like an ass. What is an ass? It's a beast burden. It's a burden of beast. So what does it do? Always carry lot of burden. The washerman will give 2 tons of clothes, Prabhupada says. 2 tons of clothes. And this ass is nicely carrying, as if it is owning that. The clothes do not belong to ass at all. And now after carrying so much of load, what does the washerman do? The washerman gives some morsel of grass, which is anyway available freely. But still, the ass thinks it is all its responsibility that it has to carry the unnecessary burden. So we have such kind of another segment of citizens in the society who are carrying unwanted burden. And all these kind of people, Swa, Vit, Varaha, Ushtra, Kare, people are voting these kind of leaders, and thus these leaders are not having a way to understand what is the way forward. Unnecessarily, they are creating trouble to themselves and also creating trouble to the citizens also. As I was just preparing for the class, I just heard one study. Some studies have come and told that because Putin had got COVID, he didn't had proper decision making skills, and thus he had decided in this way. See the unfortunate situation of this current day world, where the leadership is not trained and the persons who are electing are also not trained, and hence we are facing a lot of difficulties in this world. So with that I would like to conclude. If anybody has any questions, they can ask. Yes. Yeah. Huh. Okay. So if I have heard your question properly, like the way Maharaj Parikshit or Yudhishthira Maharaj had retired timely at different times, now in the current day world, we are seeing a lot of difficulties.
And like Yudhishthira Maharaj was the ideal king. He was Dharmaraj, so we can expect protection from him. But at present, the Kshatriyas, so-called government, they are not up to the standards. So we cannot expect protection from them also. So what should our attitude be towards the unjust of the present day scenario.
Okay. So, there are two dharmas are there. One is the dharma of the paramarthik, another is the vyavaharik. Paramarthik dharma is that we have to become Krishna conscious. That is our primary responsibility. Our primary responsibility is to become Krishna conscious. And we have another primary responsibility of spreading this Krishna consciousness movement to the world at large. So now the specific question is being asked is, what to do now? The governments are not favorable. Governments are not favorable. Should we just retire or should we do something to influence the governments? So this is, Prabhupada has given different answers at different times. Prabhupada said that this is the age of democracy. So if we actually spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world, so the citizens become Krishna conscious, automatically the leaders also will be forced to become Krishna conscious. Prabhupada said in one place like that. Okay. In another place, Prabhupada has tried to influence the political leadership, like by actually going and participating in various elections. In the United States and in Australia, during Prabhupada's time, Prabhupada has created a manifesto, a Krishna conscious manifesto, a party called as In God We Trust party was created, and Prabhupada has actually demonstrated even that also can exist. So now, what is the specific solution, what we have to do? Again, as I said, we have to consult the Vaishnavas and actually seeing based on the circumstances in which we are there, we have to decide. So generally, in our individual circumstances, we are just ordinary citizens. We don't have much influence. So for us, more important is our paramarthik duty of becoming Krishna conscious and spreading the Krishna consciousness, rather than trying to getting into the political affairs or anything like that. Prabhupada also says in that lecture, I would request all of you to read that lecture, it's a wonderful lecture. Prabhupada says in that lecture that we cannot get into the political affairs unless our intent is really Krishna conscious intent. If we ourselves do not become Krishna conscious intent, political affairs requires diplomacy. And one of the 6 weeds which destroy bhakti is kutinati or diplomacy, duplicity. So we have to be very careful. Unless our intent is really become so strong Krishna conscious intent that we can rule over the world, we cannot influence the political leadership that easily. So we have to focus on our primary duties at this point in time. Any other question? There's one question in the end, somebody is asking.
You mentioned about signs of God. So when we make decision, then there are certain signs of God that we can look into. So if you could elaborate that apart from dreams, what are the signs of gods that we can foresee or we can understand in making our decisions?
Can you be a little bit clear, please? You said about signs of God.
Yeah, you were saying that whenever we make certain decisions, there are signs of God that we can read, and which will help us in making decisions. So apart from dreams, what are the other signs of God that we can see which will help us in making decisions?
Okay. So generally what happens in any decision making, we have to analyze what is the particular circumstance in which we are there. Okay? And that circumstances, how do we analyze? We analyze again from the Shastric point of view. There are a lot of details already given. There are a lot of principles and rules already given. What is the difference between a principle and a rule? What is the difference between a principle and a rule? Principle is something, they are guiding. They are the reason why rules are set. Right? Rules are set based on principles. So now there are rules also, specific rules also. Okay, there are certain 4 forbidden actions. Okay, no meat eating. It's a specific rule given, that's all. No interpretation. So there are certain rules, there are certain principles given in the Shastras. So based on our circumstances, okay, when we go and consult others, okay, other Vaishnavas, our circumstances will be analyzed. From the Shastras, and then understand that, okay, this is the intent of the Supreme Lord, can be reasonably understood. Because Krishna has already given the principles in the Shastras. What are the principles and the rules? He's already given. And then there are devotees also who are trying to practice those principles, and there is a structure which Prabhupada has created. Using that, taking the help of that structure, we can understand how, in my circumstance, what I should decide. Hope that answers. Is there a question? Yeah.
Right now, ISKCON is building huge temples.
Okay.
Then in ISKCON Bangladesh, what happened? Recently, the Kashmir files has come, we are seeing. So, in the long run, how will our temples remain protected? Because as long as it becomes majority the other side, what has happened in the Kashmir files or in ISKCON Bangladesh can repeat everywhere. So we are in only preaching Brahmanism or Vaishnavism, but for our protection, what will happen in the long run?
Okay. Actually, what is increasing?
Population of some other
I'm saying,
community.
actually, what is increasing is not either Hinduism or Islam or Christianity or anything like that. Actually, what is increasing is materialism and atheism. Actually, these are increasing. Many things are going in the name of religion. Narottam Das Thakur says, no, that many things are going in the name of Dharma. Right? Srimad Bhagavatam gives what is Dharma. What is Dharma means?
To love of Godhead.
How much you are loving God, simple. What is religion means? How much you are loving God. So now a specific question is that, what will happen to Hinduism? We have nothing to do with Hinduism in that way. And I'll give one very specific example. Right now, nobody is coming and, attacking us. Right? There were the times when Aurangzeb was attacking Vrindavan and Mathura. The Vaishnava Acharyas at that time, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they have done some reasonable efforts. We have to do our reasonable efforts. What they have done? They have shifted the deities. They try to save themselves. But instead of meddling with the political affairs, but again, because I am saying political affairs, meddling with political affairs, you are going to cost your Krishna consciousness, that unless we become really Krishna conscious. So what was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur doing? He was giving wonderful commentaries of the Purvacharya's literatures. He was guiding the Vaishnavas. There is something to be done at the political affairs, but we are ordinary citizens. We should understand that we should become Krishna conscious. That is our primary goal.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Okay. Okay. So we'll conclude. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.